there comes a point in life where everything feels strangely hollow. You wake up, you go through the motions, you do what is expected of you. And yet, a quiet emptiness lingers behind the surface of every gesture. It is as if the world has been drained of its color, as if the pulse of life itself has retreated, leaving you with a faint echo. This emptiness is not always loud. Sometimes it does not appear as pain, or even sadness. It is quieter than that. It hides in the background, like a faint hum that never goes away. You can laugh with friends, succeed at work, share moments with others, and still return home with the feeling that something essential is missing. People often mistake this feeling for boredom, or they call it depression. But at its core, it is something deeper. It is the loss of meaning, and when meaning disappears, the soul begins to suffocate, even if the body continues to function. We live in a world that tells us constantly what to do, who to be, how to live. We are surrounded by noise, distraction, endless stimulation, and yet beneath all of it, there is often a silent truth. The truth that you do not know why you are doing any of it. The roles you play, the ambitions you chase, the possessions you collect, they lose their weight when your soul cannot feel them as real. It is not unusual to reach a place where life feels like a performance, where you wear masks so convincingly that even you begin to forget what lies behind them. You play the role of the professional, the friend, the parent, the lover. And while these roles are not false, they can become thin shells if they are not rooted in something deeper. One day, you may wake up and realize that you have built an entire life without ever meeting the one person who truly lives it, yourself. This is the beginning of the crisis of meaning, a slow, creeping recognition that the world you built around you no longer touches the core of who you are. And in that gap, emptiness seeps in. It is like walking through a house that once felt like home, only to discover it is just a collection of walls and furniture. Something essential is absent. The danger of this emptiness is not just despair. It is the temptation to numb it, to cover it over with endless distractions, scrolling through screens, chasing new goals, drowning in substances or relationships. But no matter how much you try to silence it, the emptiness waits. It does not vanish when you ignore it. It grows until you are forced to face it, or until it consumes you slowly from within. And here lies a difficult truth. This emptiness is not a mistake. It is not a defect in you. It is a signal that the life you are living is too small for the soul that inhabits it. Signal that the story you have been telling yourself about who you are is no longer enough. It is the soul's way of calling you back to yourself. The modern world makes this harder to hear. Everywhere, you are told to seek fulfillment outside yourself. Buy more, achieve more, prove yourself. And yet, meaning does not come from accumulation. It comes from depth. It comes from the willingness to turn inward and confront the places you have avoided, the shadows you have left unexplored, the wounds you have hidden, the dreams you have silenced. When emptiness arrives, it is often an invitation, but it does not feel like one. It feels like loss. It feels like grief. Because to find a deeper meaning, you must first admit that the old meaning has died, that the old stories, the old identities, the old ambitions, they no longer hold you. They crumble, and in their collapse, you are left in the dark silence of not knowing who you are. This silence is terrifying. It feels like standing on the edge of a vast abyss, with no bridge to the other side. But it is within this abyss that the possibility of renewal begins, because when you no longer know who you are, you finally have the chance to discover it for the first time. not the identity given by society, not the mask shaped by expectation, but the raw, unfiltered essence of yourself. The process is not quick, it is not comfortable, it is not clean, it is a descent, a stripping away, a surrender to the unknown within you. And yet in this descent, life slowly begins to breathe again. The colors return, the air feels lighter, and you realize that meaning was never lost. It was only waiting in the parts of yourself you had not yet dared to enter. The journey begins with a simple act: to stop running, to sit with the emptiness instead of escaping it, to listen to its silence instead of drowning it in noise. When you dare to face this void, you may find that it speaks, not in words but in feelings, intuitions, quiet stirrings. It begins to show you the parts of your life that are not truly yours. It begins to reveal the path that calls from somewhere deeper. But most people never reach this point, because it is easier to stay asleep, easier to live behind the mask, easier to believe that if you achieve just one more thing, buy one more thing, earn one more approval, then finally the emptiness will disappear. It doesn't, it never does. Because the soul does not feed on the surface of life, it hungers for depth. So if you feel empty, if you feel lost, if life feels drained of its meaning, you are not broken. You are being called to step away from the shallow surface and descend into yourself. Called to face the questions that have no easy answers. Called to find the meaning that no one else can give you. And maybe that is the quiet paradox of emptiness. That it is not the end of life, but the beginning of a deeper one. It is the threshold, the doorway to the life that is truly yours. There are mornings when you wake up and the air feels heavy, not because of the weather, but because something inside you has gone silent. The sun may rise, the streets may fill with people rushing, but within you, there is only a dull emptiness. This is not depression in the clinical sense. It is not a passing sadness. It is something more subtle, more difficult to name. It is the quiet weight of a life that has lost its thread of meaning. You may feel it as a faint restlessness, a sense that no matter what you do, it does not reach you deeply. It does not satisfy you in the way you imagine it should. You achieve a goal. You buy the thing you thought you wanted. You spend time with the people who are supposed to make you feel alive, but the emptiness returns, quietly, faithfully, like a shadow that never leaves. This is the hunger of the soul, and yet most of us try to feed it with things that cannot touch it. We feed it with distractions, with endless scrolling, with the noise of other people's lives, with entertainment that fills ours, but leaves our hearts untouched. We feed it with ambition, with the chase for recognition, with the need to be seen, with the desire to prove that we matter. But the applause fades, the promotions lose their glow, and still, something inside us remains unsatisfied. We feed it with relationships, hoping someone will rescue us from the void within. But no matter how close another person comes, they cannot carry the burden of our emptiness. They cannot give us meaning if we have none to begin with. And when all of this fails, we begin to believe there must be something broken in us. We begin to fear that life itself is hollow and that everyone else is just pretending to find joy. But perhaps this emptiness is not a mistake. Perhaps it is not a punishment. Perhaps it is a sign that you have outgrown the life you are living. Sign that the outer world no longer reflects the truth of your inner world. Sign that what once sustained you is no longer enough to keep your soul alive. If you listen carefully, you may hear the silence speaking. It tells you the path you are walking has reached its limit. It can no longer lead you deeper. You must now step into another way of being. This is the invitation of emptiness, not to numb it, not to escape it, but to enter it. Because emptiness is not just absence, it is space. And in that space, something new can grow, but most people never enter it. They circle around it, terrified of what they might find in the stillness. They keep filling the void with noise until they forget the void is even there. Yet the truth is, the void never leaves. It waits, quietly, patiently, until the day you are ready to sit with it. And when you finally do, you realize something profound. The void is not an enemy. It is a doorway. It is the place where your old self dissolves and the possibility of your true self begins. But crossing that threshold is not easy because it demands everything you thought you knew. It demands that you let go of the masks you wear, the identities you cling to, the illusions of success and recognition. It asks you to stand naked before your own soul. And this is perhaps the hardest thing a human being can do. Because in that nakedness, you see how fragile you are. You see how much of your life has been built on sand. You see how much of what you thought was you was only borrowed from others. And yet, there is also something else. You see beneath it all a flicker of truth, a seed of meaning that has always been there, waiting for you to notice it. This seed does not shout. It does not demand. It whispers. It whispers in dreams you have ignored. It whispers in the quiet longings you dismiss as foolish. It whispers in the sudden tears that rise for no reason at all. If you dare to listen, this seed becomes the beginning of a new life, not the life society told you to chase, not the life of endless performance, but the life that is uniquely yours. This is why emptiness comes. It strips you of the distractions. It dismantles your false certainties. It breaks the shell of the life that no longer serves you, so that you may find the life that truly belongs to you. But here is the paradox. You cannot rush this process. You cannot force meaning to appear. Meaning comes when you surrender to the emptiness, when you stop demanding answers and allow the silence to teach you. This is not passive. It is not weakness. It is the courage to sit in the unknown, to sit in the dark without turning on the light, to wait until your eyes adjust and you begin to see what was invisible before. And when it comes, meaning does not arrive as a grand revelation. It comes quietly, in a small recognition, in the gentle sense that this moment, this breath, this life is worth living. You may begin to notice beauty again, not in the dramatic, but in the simple. The way the light touches the leaves, the way a stranger's kindness moves you, the way your own breath reminds you that you are still here. Meaning is not found by climbing higher. It is found by sinking deeper, deeper into yourself, deeper into the silence you once feared, deeper into the emptiness that was never emptiness at all, but the beginning of your true life. This is the journey you are being asked to take, not the journey of the world outside, but the journey inward. And it begins, always, with emptiness. You carry within you a silence. It grows louder the more you run from it. It is not a silence of peace. It is a silence of absence, a silence that whispers of something missing. This is the silence of emptiness. Perhaps you feel it most when you are surrounded by people, and yet untouched by their presence. Perhaps you feel it when the day ends and nothing you did seems to matter. Or perhaps you feel it when success arrives and the applause fades, and you discover that the crown placed on your head is made of ash. Emptiness is not only the absence of meaning, it is the awareness that life could hold meaning. But somehow it does not. It is the ache of potential unrealized, the ghost of a deeper life you have not touched. You may try to quiet it with distractions, with endless scrolling, with noise, with work, with company, but the silence waits. It waits at the edge of every distraction. It waits until the lights go out and the room grows still. And then it speaks again. This is why people fear solitude. Because solitude is not empty. Solitude reveals emptiness. And when you sit long enough, you realize that what you fear is not loneliness. It is the weight of a life that feels hollow. What can you do with this weight? You could try to bury it, but the earth never holds it for long. You could try to ignore it, but it always finds its way back. Or you could dare to face it, to sit with it, to ask it what it wants. Emptiness is not here to punish you. It is here to wake you. It arrives when the life you are living is too small for the depth of your soul. It arrives when the mask you wear no longer fits the face you hide. It arrives when the path you walk is no longer the one that belongs to you. That is why it feels so unbearable. Because it is not meant to be permanent. It is meant to move you, to push you inward, to remind you that you are not yet whole. The loss of meaning is the first crack. It is the breaking of a container that no longer serves you. It is the invitation to begin again, not outside, but inside. But how do you begin? Not with grand declarations, not with promises to fix your entire life in one sweep, but with something quieter, something slower. You begin by listening. Listen to the ache. Listen to the tiredness. Listen to the longing that refuses to die. There is something beneath the emptiness, a hidden current, waiting to surface. The soul does not speak in loud commands. It speaks in whispers, in subtle pulls, in images that return to you again and again, in dreams that will not let you go. The path out of emptiness begins when you turn toward these whispers, instead of away from them, when you stop silencing them with noise and let them rise. This is not easy, because emptiness carries fear. Fear that nothing will ever change. Fear that you are broken beyond repair. Fear that life has no secret waiting for you. But emptiness is not the end of your story. It is the middle. It is the descent before the return. It is the hollowing of space, so that something new can grow. Do not rush to fill it. Do not run from it. Let it work within you, because what feels like destruction may actually be preparation. Think of a seed buried in the dark soil. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. Only silence, only stillness. But in that silence, the shell is breaking. The life inside is being born. Your emptiness is the soil. Your silence is the breaking. And what you cannot see now is the beginning of your becoming. But you must trust the process. Even when it feels unbearable, even when you want to abandon the journey and go back to the shallow surface. Stay with yourself. Stay with the discomfort. Stay with the not knowing. Because meaning is not found by chasing it. It emerges slowly, like dawn. It rises not because you demand it, but because you create the space for it. The meaning you are missing will not be delivered from outside. It will not come through applause or recognition or possessions. It will rise from within, from the hidden depths you have ignored. And when it does, you will understand why emptiness came. You will see that it was not a punishment, but a messenger. It was the hand of life itself, pushing you into the unknown. It was the threshold to your own soul. You are not empty. You are unfinished, and the hollow you feel is the very space in which your wholeness will be born. So if you feel lost, if you feel hollow, if you feel that nothing matters anymore, do not despair. This is not the end. This is the silence before the song, the night before the dawn. the soil before the bloom. Stay, wait, listen, because one day when you are ready, meaning will return, not as it was before, not as something fragile or borrowed, but as something unshakable, as something rooted in the deepest ground of who you are. And then you will no longer fear the silence. You will carry it as strength, because you will know what once felt like emptiness was the birthplace of your true life.